Welcome to part 2 of this Out of Line discussion with Elsie Larson. Okay, so before we go, I just want to ask you a few questions specifically about social media, because I know you're a social media queen. So how did you get started in social media, and what was your kind of entry point into all of the various channels?
So my entry point has always been just for fun. I feel like in everything. I started our blog 10 years ago, definitely just for fun. I never expected it could make $1 or become a career in any way. It was just a journal about my life, and honestly, just really silly and unprofessional. So the same thing, like I had from MySpace and beyond, like every social media I think that my friends were doing, I was doing, and Instagram's definitely been one of the big ones for me. And I started it like a lot of people just because I thought it was like a filter app. I didn't understand it was going to become a social media app. When it first came out, and but it's been amazing. Like, I feel like I've made so many lifelong friends from it. And so when people talk about how like it's all fake, I do agree that a lot of it is fake and annoying, but the parts of it that are real make it so worth it.
Yes, I so agree with that. I so agree with that. Even meeting you, I mean, you're one of my dear friends, and I've even loved how we've gotten to collaborate a little bit and play and work stuff. And I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for Instagram. So yeah, it is true. It's really special. And I know people have like gotten married and they met online, so it's not all bad. You know, at Instagram meetups, and you meet and you fall in love. It happens. That happens. So what boundaries do you set, if any, for unplugging from virtual world and kind of in order to connect with the real world? Do you have any sort of like hours you don't go online, or any rooms of your house is amazing and beautiful and huge? Do you have any like social media free rooms in your house, or anything dramatic like that in terms of boundaries?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I definitely would like to have more boundaries in my life. I don't feel as much pressure that I have to be posting all the time, but I do still feel like I'm like always just looking at it by default, which I think is a lot of people's like, I wish I could just stop like touching my phone so much. So I definitely fall in that category, and I don't have the magic secret of how to make it stop.
Yep. Okay. So do you have any sort of boundary or rule for yourself or is it like you'll be on the phone at any hour of the day, depending on where you are, and you just kind of roll with it?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through phases where I tried recently, like a whole day where it was like logged out of my Instagram, and it was weird and it was hard for me, but I did also feel like I got a lot more done. So I think having something like that would be great. I just kind of figure out, I mean, because besides sleeping, I sleep with my airplane mode on, and that's the only thing I can think of that when it's ever like turned off. So yeah, it's probably too much.
Well, you're the only one. You can say that about you. I'm not going to say it's too much. I'm just curious. How much of your life is shared online versus offline, and how do you feel about the ratio? Are you happy with it, or do you want it to be diff?
Okay, so I do feel like most of my life is offline, and the past few years I've noticed that people aren't as much posting their life on Instagram as they're just posting like highlights or like really styled, really professional images, right? And then sometimes you post like a random picture and you feel insecure about it. So I guess for me, I would like to share more of my real life and less of my curated life. If I had to challenge myself in some way, that's where I would want to go.
Okay. I love that you said that, because I think that you're right. I think old me, even in terms of speaking for myself, a few years ago would be like, today I did this, or today I'm doing this, or like, here's a behind the scenes photo of a shoot that I'm on. Whereas now I feel like the algorithm gives me almost like anxiety of like, I'm not going to post something unless it looks good, because it's not going to get the engagement that's going to make it show up in people's feeds. So I'll just wait until, I'll just wait until I have the finished product to post. And I do a lot of stories, Instagram stories. I'll post a lot about that. But in terms of my actual feed of photos, I used to post like twice a day. And now I post like twice a week, just because it's the whole vibe has changed, I think, for me anyway. I'll speak for myself.
No, I agree with that. And I don't think for me, it's not as creative as it used to be. And so I'm trying to kind of like take that back in my own way, but it is hard to like not care or, not notice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think the algorithm is good for everything. Like, because it helps you know what works, but it doesn't really help Instagram to be like a more friendly, genuine place,
Absolutely.
So, I mean, stories has helped a lot though. And I think a lot of us are like kind of living on that now.
That's true. I post stories every single day, and yet my actual posts in my feed are, like I said, like twice a week max, really, which is so weird. I never thought I would say that. It's so weird, but I guess I'm just riding it. We'll see what happens next. I'm riding the waves. It's such a new and weird platform that it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's changing. It feels like it's changing all the time. And I want to stay adaptable and kind of roll with what's happening because, Instagram could be over tomorrow and it'll be something new. And I don't want to be... I don't want to be like, no, this is how it's always been when it's something that's like 6 years old. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I know that you work with your sister, which is amazing, and you have a family that you love very much, which is apparent in all that you do. But how does social media impact your relationship with your family?
I think it's been important because we moved away from our family 2 years ago, and it's been hard. Definitely we did it for Jeremy's career, and it had to be done. But at the same time, there are moments, when it really hurts. But my little nieces and nephews are starting to have their own Instagrams now. Like, it's insane. They're not even in junior high yet, but they have, their own accounts.
Wow.
And it actually is very comforting. And I know that, my mother-in-law watches all my stories every day. And so at least, even if we didn't get to talk on the phone, then we, we're connected in some way, and I'm happy that it's there.
Yeah, I really relate to that because Jaden's family's in Australia, and, I only have 2 siblings in LA. The rest of them are in New York City and Chicago and Iowa, and my mom and dad are in Milwaukee. So everybody's all over the place. And it is funny because, like you said, I know they watch my stories, and sometimes I'll get a text from my mom that'll say it'll refer to a story that I posted 3 days ago, and say, oh, I loved seeing when you did this. And I'm like, how did she know? And then I remember that, I share it with the world. So, it's something that as much as there are so many downsides to being online all the time and social media being, not necessarily genuine with connection with everyone, there is a part of me that also knows it does keep me in closer connection with my family that's all over the world. And that is
definitely,
that's actually real. That's real. So I love that. That's cool. And also it is so weird to have nieces online. I remember the day my niece was born. I was in college when my niece was born, and now she's on Snapchat. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is absurd. I can't handle it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Time goes real fast.
Yeah.
So as you know, I mentioned this to you before, and I'm so excited that I'm working with Cat Footwear for my very first year of podcasting. I feel really stoked that they're believing in me before I've even released a podcast. But one of the things that we both really value is being bold in creativity. And so I've followed you for years now and watched you. You continue to reinvent yourself. And you're always creating something totally new and different almost every single year, whether it's a book or an app or, like every time I turn around, you're doing something totally new. And now you have OuiFresh with sunglasses and shirts and bags. It's amazing. It's you just like, I can't keep up with you. But where do you get your ideas? How do you kind of like set up a space to stop outputting for enough time to get new ideas and allow kind of the creative input so that you can get ready for whatever's next?
Okay, well, I am one of those people that believes that like you don't run out of ideas. If you just keep using them, there will always be more. And I don't worry. I never like take the time to just think of ideas. Like they just happen, right? So a lot of bloggers who started in the days when I did, like 10 years ago have quit by now and moved on to other things. And I think that one of the reasons is when you feel kind of trapped by what you used to do and you want to change. You no longer want to be, exactly that person anymore. You want to be a different version of yourself. And so I think that one of the keys that Emma and I have learned through Beautiful Mess is reinventing ourselves and allowing ourselves to try things, to fail. We have some stuff coming out this fall, like a line of non-toxic lip products, a line of essential oils, a cookbook, and a new design app. All like super different, random things. They're, but like it's like all things that we love, that we think are important, that there's a place for there's a place in the marketplace, a need for them. And so we kind of just like followed some passions. So that's kind of how we approach it, and we're not afraid to fail. We've had some real bombs in the past, and we just hold on to the ones that work and then move on from the ones that don't work. And I think that that's, if I had to sum it up, probably like the main reason why we've been able to keep it going for so long.
Snaps for that, girl. You guys, you inspire me so much. And I'm always, I love that what you said too, because being afraid to fail will stop anyone from even trying. And yet think of how many things that you've nailed. And I mean, every time I teach like a social media class, I always make a big slide all about a color story, because even just that has totally changed it's totally changed the face of Instagram completely. And it's something that, I'm just so proud of you. Every time you make something new, I'm like, how does she do that? It's amazing. It's so cool. So I love that. I love that. Don't be afraid to fail, and keep reinventing. So good. So good. Okay, so changing gears to a little bit of a different question. Last two questions. What's something that you believe that you have in common with every single human on the planet?
I thought this one was hard. I felt like I was thinking about it, and I love the eclipse this week. Like I love outer space and nature and traveling. I think that's probably the truest thing I could say that we all kind of are interested in.
Yeah. And I think it's a hard one. And I threw it in there because I really think that my whole hope for the future and for even the present is that we will spend more time and energy noticing similarities. And that, there will be things where it's like, oh, wow, look at what we have in common. Because it is so easy to be like, you're different to me because of these 35 reasons. But like, what if we were like, okay, but this one reason we have a similarity. And so I've been like collecting those answers for myself because I love hearing what other people say. And so far, no one has said the same thing, which is also so rad. Yeah, it's so rad. Like every time I ask that question, the answers are totally different, which makes me even more excited because that just makes me feel like there are so many things that we all have in common, and it's so hard to think of them sometimes. So I love that one. I love that one. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So last question. And, it's an important one for hustlers like you. What's your favorite self-care activity? How do you wind down?
Okay, so what I need alone time, and it's easy for me because I work from home, so it's not normally it's not a big problem, but sometimes, like, if I'm traveling in a group, or if I've had like a week of meetings, or things like that, a lot of guests in a row, I can kind of like lose my mind a little bit. So I think just like setting aside, an afternoon, even just to like go somewhere by myself, that's all I need to get recharged every single time. Yeah, so essential mental health.
I love that. I love that. And knowing yourself well enough to know that you need it, not apologize for it. That's awesome. Go you. Well, thank you so much for being here today and being willing to dive into real life vulnerable stuff.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yeah,
you're such an inspiration. I'm very excited to listen to this podcast.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, thanks so much.
Not my episode, all the other episodes.
It's so weird listening to yourself on a podcast. I've done that before, and I've been like, oh my gosh, that is not something I want to listen to ever again. But I'm so excited that you're on and that you're one of the very first guests. It's really an honor that you said yes, and I hope I will see you again very soon, my love.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Out of Line with Caroline Lee. Tweet me at Team Woodnote or tag me in your posts on Instagram using Out of Line Podcast, and let me know what you thought of today's discussion and who you'd like to hear as a guest on Out of Line next. This episode of Out of Line was produced by me, Caroline. All sound editing, engineering, and original music composition by Jaden Lee. And a big thank you to Cat Footwear for working with Out of Line this season. Hit subscribe to get the next episode on your mobile device when it drops next week. And if you love what you heard, please whip out a review, will ya?